Hey guys, earlier today I talked to you when I was in my car, and I think I am now ready for this next episode for Science for the Uninitiated. Thank you so much for opening up this video to watch. Let's dive right into this. The title of this will be called Neuromodulators and Amino Acids. Without further ado, let's dive into this. I'm going to be reading off of a script. So the last couple of the episodes, I've been doing like sort of an unscripted thing just to show that real personality and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's dive into this. Dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, and acetylcholine play critical roles in regulating behavior, emotions, and cognitive functions. Understanding what neuromodulators are is an important step in lining up your mental and physical priorities to get the most out of the brain hormones. A neuromodulator can be conceptualized as neurotransmitters that is not reabsorbed into the presynaptic neuron or broken down into a single metabolite. Some neuromodulators spend a significant amount of time in the cerebral spinal fluid, influencing or modulating activity of other neurons in the brain. So, important thing to understand, and something that I want to synthesize just a little bit, is that a neurotransmitter is not reabsorbed into the presynaptic neuron or broken down. The form of dopamine, the form of serotonin, the structural form of acetylcholine, and norepinephrine or epinephrine stays intact the entire way through until it gets to the specific point in the brain where it then initiates the pathway for the rest of the body to begin feeling, if that makes any sense. So first and foremost, we have dopamine. Reward-seeking pathway, arousal, and movement drive. And before moving on past dopamine, I want there to be an understanding of what diseases follow a lack of dopamine. Dopamine is an important neurotransmitter in engaging the body in the function of moving toward things. A lot of the times we think of dopamine as the neurotransmitter of feeling good. That's a bit of a vernacular misunderstanding. Dopamine pushes us towards getting the thing that gives us nutrients or a particular feeling, such as like a release in a little bit of adrenaline, right? So when you're reaching towards your coffee cup to take another sip of coffee, you're getting dopamine released as you're moving towards that. And then when you put the coffee up to your lips and you feel the heat emanating from the coffee cup, and as you put the coffee cup into your mouth to then ingest the liquid, which is the coffee, all of that is the pathway to initiating dopamine. Now what's happening in your body after you ingest the coffee is epinephrine gets released because caffeine is a stimulatory, drives the sympathetic nervous system, further stimulating the nervous system. You have the release of norepinephrine. So you get a little bit of that, but drinking the coffee and partaking in things that coffee does, which is stimulate you, is not the same as getting the dopamine from pursuing the coffee. The pursuit is where the dopamine is being secreted, so to speak. Anyways, Parkinson's disease, a condition where there is not enough dopamine in areas of the brain that control movement. This can lead to muscle stiffness and difficulty walking. Dementia, with Lewy bodies, a common form of dementia that involves cognitive decline, visual hallucinations, and Parkinsonism. DLB, dementia with Lewy bodies, and Parkinson's disease share Lewy bodies, which are made up of A-synuclein. I have to feign ignorance here. I don't know what Lewy bodies are. I should do more research. Luckily, this is science for the uninitiated, and it's okay that you don't know everything. So, a couple of other neurological defects that happen with the lack of dopamine or unbalanced dopamine is attention deficit disorder, schizophrenia, depression, restless leg syndrome, and Tourette's. So keep all those in mind. The more you know. This is all linked to the driving mechanism of dopamine. And it's much more important than just being able to strive towards grabbing a coffee. It's an important function in voluntary movement. Norepinephrine, fight, flight, instinctual pathway. It initiates focus and alertness. Fun story, if someone's going into anaphylactic shock because they ate too many peanuts, or they ate a peanut, or they were in a room with a peanut, this person goes into anaphylactic shock, everything starts swelling up, you give them the epinephrine, and it clears out all of the shunting of the blood into other areas in the body, and that's how you help someone out with an EpiPen if they're going into anaphylactic shock, and usually these individuals should already have an EpiPen on them. Acetylcholine, learning and memory, short term, motor and muscular control, and also stimulates arousal. Acetylcholine is a necessary neurotransmitter in sending signals across the synaptic pathways for you to go ahead and do stuff, so to speak. Nitric oxide, we have not gone away from nitric oxide. As you remember, nitric oxide was a very important neuromodulator that vasodilates. Diving into the topic of vasodilation, vasodilation allows the immune system to function properly throughout a human's physiology. Nitric oxide also initiates the pathway to allow more oxygen to perfuse throughout an individual's body. Nitric oxide or cyclic GMP pathway is involved in synaptic plasticity and neurotransmitter release. Without diving too deeply into the weeds, nitric oxide is a critical modulator of synaptic plasticity. This is learning or unlearning different things. Learning and memory, chronic inhibition of nitric oxide production or signaling pathways over the years could cause or could contribute to neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's, dementia. And next we have glutamate, excitatory neurotransmitter in the nervous system. Learning and memory holds a direct role in synaptic plasticity. A direct role. We're not beating around the bush here. Glutamate is something you can involve yourself in by taking an amino acid called L-glutamine in order to create more glutamate. L-glutamine will be synthesized into either glutamate or GABA. It depends on which one your body has the most proclivity to creating. Fun fact or fun story, individuals are either glutamate-centric or GABA-centric based on which one your body produces the most of naturally would make that a non-essential amino acid in opposition to a non-essential neurotransmitter versus a essential neurotransmitter, based on like the production that your body leans towards. You can create more of this, or give your body the fuel to create more of this metabolically by giving yourself L-glutamine, which is one of our essential, actually non-essential amino acids. GABA, primary inhibitory neurotransmitter of the CNS, creates less excitability across the neurons. Also a culprit of schizophrenia. Beware, GABA supplements usually don't cross the blood-brain barrier. So that's why you take L-glutamine instead. GABA supplements are all a lie. You heard it here first, kids. Now, those are all of our neurotransmitters. All the neurotransmitters that we're going to be talking about on this channel. And next we're going to dive into some of the essential amino acids, as long as this camera doesn't die in the next coming minutes. The first one is histidine. The function of histidine is it's the precursor to histamine, which is a vasodilator, important for the immune response, digestion, and sleep-wake cycles. Histamine was another neurotransmitter that we did not get around to talking about, but see that there's a theme here. Histidine is the precursor to a neurotransmitter. The neurotransmitter, therefore, is created by amino acid. Amino acids are found in complete protein. A complete 20 count of the amino acid profile is found in a complete protein, notably red meat, eggs, and milk. Everything else is garbage. Role essential for myelin sheath maintenance and hemoglobin production. That was all under the category of histidine. That is just our first. So these all have intricate processes within the human physiology. Next one is isoleucine. Functions: supports muscle metabolism, energy production, and immune function. Role: key in hemoglobin synthesis and regulation of blood sugar levels. Leucine. Leucine is a good way, and from what I've been told, because it's an essential amino acid, which means your body cannot produce it, it's also rare enough that it's hard to find. So if your leucine count is relatively high, I'm saying above the 300 milligram range, then that means the source that you're getting your leucine from is a very potent source, and you're probably covered on all ends of the spectrum as far as amino acid potency. Stimulates protein synthesis and muscle growth, acts as a signal molecule for mTOR, promoting muscle repair and energy balance. Lysine. Function: helps with collagen production, calcium absorption, and antibody formation. So immune system function. That's lysine. Also, if you're taking a lot of calcium supplementation, be sure to take your lysine as well. You want to stay away from blood clots. Lysine, vitamin D3, vitamin K2. Role: essential for tissue repair and enzymatic processes. Methionine, precursor to adenosylmethionine. Same. Vital for DNA methylation. Supports detoxification and antioxidant pathways through cysteine synthesis. Phenylalanine, precursor for neurotransmitters like dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. Roles: affects mood regulation and brain function. Threonine. Function: helps maintain protein structure and supports immune function. Key component of structural protein like collagen and elastin. Tryptophan. Function: precursor to serotonin and melatonin. Regulates mood, sleep, and appetite. Fun fact: people will be prescribed tryptophan because it is the precursor to serotonin. It is an amino acid. It is not SSRIs. And tryptophan has actually, in studies, I don't have the study linked in the description, but in studies, tryptophan has been proven to be more effective, if not just as effective, as SSRIs in restabilizing people's moods out of depression. Now, what does that mean? It means maybe they should have been eating a diet with a complete amino acid profile. Just me. Valine supports muscle metabolism and tissue repair. Role: provides energy during physical activity and maintains nitrogen balance. Now we're moving on to non-essential amino acids. These can be synthesized by the body and are still vital. Alanine: function: transport nitrogen to the liver and participates in gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis is creating new glucose. Sugar. Your body can create sugar. Arginine. This one is probably my favorite molecule, and you'll find out why. Amino acid, excuse me. Function: precursor to nitric oxide. Supports immune function and wound healing. Remember when we talked about nitric oxide being an important component to immune function? Right. Plays a role in vasodilation and cardiovascular health. Nitric oxide was also awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for the most important molecule at the time. In its role in vasodilation, most notably for cardiovascular health. Asparagine helps in protein synthesis and ammonia detoxification, supports brain function and nervous system health. Aspartic acid functions involved in the urea cycle and energy production. Roles: aids in the synthesis of other amino acids. Cysteine. You see, these are all working together. As you've noticed, I hope you've noticed, all of these amino acids are working with one another. You need all of these. So why would you partake in a diet that didn't support you with all 20 amino acids, essential and non-essential? Glutamine supports immune cells and gut lining health. Acts as an energy source for rapidly dividing cells. Remember, L-glutamine also supports the pathway of creating more glutamate and more GABA. Glutamic acid functions as a neurotransmitter, helps detoxifying ammonia. Involved in protein metabolism and nitrogen transport. Glycine, key for collagen synthesis and neurotransmitter regulation. Supports sleep, digestion, and antioxidant production. Proline, essential for collagen production and skin health. Maintains connective tissue integrity. Serine, aids the production of phospholipids for cell membrane. Supports brain function and nerve signaling. Tyrosine, this is my second favorite amino acid. Precursor to dopamine, norepinephrine, and thyroid hormones. Role: regulates mood, stress response, and metabolic rate. If you're low in L-tyrosine, you will be low in brain capacity. And that is it for the amino acid profile. Those are all the amino acids, all 20, and their functions. I don't think we talk about them often enough. Sometimes you hear about L-tyrosine, sometimes you hear about tryptophan, but in the entirety, that is everything with their functions and roles. So you heard it here, first, folks. Synopsis of the amino acid profiles: they build and repair tissue. That goes as far as lysine, proline, and serine. They are enzymatic, serve as components of enzymes or cofactors, methionine and alanine. Signaling, act as precursors to neurotransmitters or signaling molecules. Tryptophan, L-tyrosine. Immune, enhances immune response, L-arginine, histidine, and provide metabolic energy. valine, and alanine. That is it for this video. We're right at 20 minutes. Thank you so much for listening. This is Science for the Uninitiated. Use this information and not only use it wisely, but let's reach out to other people and maybe potentially share this video if you made it to the end. These are important components. People are depressed because maybe they may be lacking a complete amino acid profile. We named a list of neurotransmitters: dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, norepinephrine, GABA, glutamate. We understand why these things are important in physiological processes. Support yourself in these physiological domains with a good amino acid profile. All the other stuff is fluff. Thank you so much for listening. This is Science for the Uninitiated.